creative.
But, you know, most of us try to imagine this, you know, because being a musician and getting in a big band is so, the odds are so against you that when it happens, you think you could put up with almost anything. I mean, when you describe things were bad, you're talking about even those guys fought with each other, right?
They did, yeah. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you watched the last 60 Minutes interview where they were on 60 Minutes, where Don and Glenn were sitting in this booth together. But wow, it was just difficult to watch them, the anger and tension and frustration and venom that those guys manage to conceal as best they can.
Those two bastards need each other.
Yeah, they do.
And yet they hate each other.
And that is why.
Why do you think they hate each other? What is it? What is the reason? I mean, they seem like two reasonable guys. Why do they hate each other? I mean, they're human beings. I mean, what could be... here's Gary Dell'Abate.
Well, that's why. They're human beings.
An answer, apparently.
Why do they hate each other so much? What is the dislike? What is your answer, Gary?
I read the book, so I think I have a pretty good idea of it. You know, the band started out as 5 equal members, and everybody would write songs and contribute.
Right.
And then it just became Henley and Fry contributing songs, and everybody got less and less. But then it became really obvious that Don Henley is like a machine, like a songwriting machine, and even Fry's songs weren't good enough. And then that became the tension between the two of them.
So then it became...
That is very well said.
Yeah, your book was
amazing. You gleamed a lot from the book.
Yeah, the two stars, then one outshone the other.
Yeah. Did you feel guilty writing the book in the sense that, oh, gee, that's not very rock and roll? Like, okay, you keep your secrets and all your stuff to yourself, and you don't squeal on your brothers, even though they're messed up brothers or anything. Like, it's almost like a family. Did you feel...
Where did that rule get written?
I'm asking. Did you ever have any moments of doubt about writing the book?
No, really, what happened was after, in a period of 12 months, I went through a divorce from my wife, which was, we'd been together 29 years.
How much pussy were you getting, if I can be crude? I mean, was it crazy?
During your marriage.
That's fairly crude.
We know you can be crude. Don't ask that question.
Tell me, what was going on in your life? I mean, poor you. You're married. You probably said to yourself, please, Mr. Penis. I don't know what you call what do you call your penis? I don't know. Everybody.
Mr. Penis.
Mr. Penis.
Mr. Penis.
Good,
You probably said, Mr. Penis, please, don't lead me to temptation. But it's almost impossible to resist, isn't it? I mean, the world is a candy store.
We had this organization called the Third Encore, which wasn't my idea. I wasn't in charge of it or anything. We used to go out and do our shows. We'd do 2 encores. Right. And then during the show, we had guys that would go out in the audience and hand out these little buttons. They were like campaign buttons that had 3E written on it, which stood for the Third Encore, to the most beautiful women they could find by the hundreds. And say, the Eagles want you to come to this private party. It's upstairs at this suite, blah, 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 blah. And so by the time we finished and got off stage and jumped in the car and went back to the hotel, got to the room, showered, and then went down to the suite, which was furnished with champagne and hors d'oeuvres and appetizers and all sorts of other party supplements.
It's like the greatest bar mitzvah ever.
It would be wall-to-wall with women that were just dying to meet you.
Wow.
And whose idea was that? Because that person should have been a full partner.
He was. It wasn't my idea.
That should be a third partner, just the Third Encore guy. And I love that there was a name, the Third Encore. I mean, it's brilliant. That guy's a genius.
Yes.
Screw Hotel California. And the women would be there and throw themselves. How long were you able to resist? Because you were married. Was there a period of time, like a couple of months?
No, I was just ravaged with guilt during it all. I mean, to the point where, the nights that I was really high or really drunk, really bored. I don't know if you spend a lot of time on the road, but you spend
a lot of time in my house.
You spend 2 or 3 hours on stage,
right?
And then the rest of the time, 20 or 21 hours, you're just sitting around with nothing to do, and you find all sorts of horrible things to do, whether it's drugs or alcohol. Or Walsh and I, God bless him, one of
Joe
my favorite guy. He was
Joe.
my comic relief. I just loved the man. He and I would get into all sorts of things.
You know what's amazing?